stabbed 23 times. By men he trusted. That's how one of the most powerful leaders in history died. And it's only the beginning. Because some assassinations are simple, and some are not. 44 BC, Julius Caesar, the ruler of Rome, enters the Senate. Within minutes, he is surrounded. Knives appear, 23 wounds. The killers call themselves liberators. They say they saved the Republic, but they have no plan, no system, only chaos. And within years, Rome becomes an empire. So is this about freedom, or about removing one man who stood in the way of others? 1865. The United States has just survived civil war. Abraham Lincoln, the president who held the country together, sits in a theater. No guards, then a shot. The killer, John Wilkes Booth, an actor, a Confederate sympathizer. Officially, a lone attacker. But that same night, other top officials are targeted. Coordinated attacks. Some fail. One succeeds. So the question remains, was Booth alone, or part of something larger that was never fully uncovered? 1914. Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, is visiting the city. Earlier that day, an assassination attempt fails. Hours later, a wrong turn. The car stops, right in front of the assassin. Gavrilo Princip fires. 2 shots. Weeks later, the world is at war. Officially, a nationalist plot linked to the Black Hand. But the sequence feels unreal. Too many coincidences. Too many failures. Some historians argue. Europe was already on the edge, and this moment was just the spark. 1963. Dallas. John F. Kennedy rides in an open car, then gunfire. The official story points to Lee Harvey Oswald, a lone gunman. But witnesses hear shots from multiple directions. The magic bullet theory becomes one of the most controversial forensic claims ever. And then, Oswald is killed before he can testify. For decades, theories spread. The CIA, the Mafia, foreign governments. Nothing proven. Nothing fully dismissed. 1968. Memphis. Martin Luther King Jr. steps onto a balcony. A single shot ends his life. James Earl Ray is convicted. Case closed. But King had been under intense FBI surveillance, seen as a political threat. Years later, a civil court finds evidence suggesting a broader conspiracy, not proven beyond doubt, but enough to keep the question alive. 1986. Stockholm. Olof Palme, the Prime Minister of Sweden, leaves a cinema. No bodyguards. He walks through the city like any ordinary citizen. Then, a shot in the dark. He collapses on the street. The killer vanishes. No weapon. No clear suspect for decades. One of the largest investigations in history. Thousands of leads. Theories range from foreign intelligence to domestic extremists to international political enemies. A suspect is eventually named, but the case remains unresolved. 1987. Geneva. A luxury hotel. Uwe Barschel, a German state premier caught in a political scandal, is found dead. In a bathtub, fully clothed, surrounded by pills. Officially, suicide. But the scene raises immediate questions. Why multiple substances? Why this setting? Why so many contradictions? Some believe he took his own life under pressure. Others believe he was silenced. Possibly by intelligence services. A Cold War secret buried in a hotel room. 2007. Pakistan. Benazir Bhutto returns from exile. Former Prime Minister, a central figure in Pakistan's power struggles. She campaigns to regain power. After a rally, shots are fired. An explosion follows. She dies shortly after. Officially, extremist groups are blamed. But confusion begins instantly. Was she killed by the blast or by a bullet? The crime scene is washed within hours. Critical evidence lost. Some believe it was terrorism. Others suspect deeper involvement. Elements within the state. Security failures that were not accidental. 2024. An Arctic prison. Alexei Navalny, the most prominent political opponent of the Russian government, is reported dead. Years earlier, he survived poisoning. With a nerve agent identified as Novichok, he accused Vladimir Putin directly. Western governments supported that claim. Russian authorities denied it. After returning to Russia, he is imprisoned. Then, he dies in custody. Officially, natural causes. But critics point to the pattern: poisoning, imprisonment, isolation. His widow continues his political fight, demanding answers. Was this neglect? Or something ordered at the highest level? 2025. Utah. An open-air amphitheater. Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, speaks to a crowd. A polarizing political figure. Then, gunshots. He is killed in public. A suspect is arrested. But the context matters. In a country where political violence had already claimed a state legislator just months earlier. This is not just an isolated moment. It becomes part of a pattern. Some call it a lone act. Others see something deeper. A warning sign of rising political tension. Different times, different countries, different weapons. But the pattern repeats. Power challenged, tension rising, and then removal. Some of these killings are proven. Some are disputed. Some remain unresolved. But in every case, the same question remains. Not just who pulled the trigger, but who needed them gone.